Hi everyone, my name is Marlene and I will be discussing about the elderly and disasters and how the elderly are considered to be a vulnerable population in disasters. So, the elderly are considered to be the largest population in the United States, and it's actually said that the population of individuals aged 65 and older is projected to increase up to 80 million by 2030. Who are they and why are they considered to be a vulnerable population? So, elderly is defined as those who are of the ages of 65 and older, and they're also considered to be senior citizens. Now, advanced age by itself doesn't create vulnerability. However, certain problems that are more common in old age can increase vulnerability. They include decreased strength, poor tolerance of physical activity, functional limitations, and decreased sensory awareness. There are some traits of vulnerability of elders, such as communicative vulnerability, which basically means that the elder is unable to communicate with a person because he or she does not understand what they're saying. Another one is disabilities, which means that having a disability can make an elder vulnerable because it makes it difficult for them to care for themselves. They might be hard of hearing, visually impaired, unable to walk, and even unable to do regular activities such as eating, bathing, and getting dressed on their own. The same thing goes for having a mental illness. Elders may have a difficult time taking care of themselves. Lack of transportation may also be an issue because older adults might not own a vehicle. They might lack access to a car and may choose not to drive. So it impedes their ability to evacuate. And they may also depend on others to do regular activities such as the ones mentioned previously, such as bathing, getting dressed, and so on. Because older adults are more prone to physical or mental limitations that make it difficult to move quickly or leave their homes, they typically make up a disproportionate share of deaths in a natural disaster. Disasters related to deaths are much higher in older adults than any other age group. Elders are unable to move out of harm's way because they cannot move or evacuate quickly enough on their own. Some are even reluctant to evacuate because for many older adults, home is where they feel safest, and there's always a person that refuses to leave their home, which puts themselves and the rescuer at risk. During a disaster, elders might not even have any help because some adults who spend their entire time at home make it difficult to help them because they're invisible to others. No one really knows if a person is still there at the house because they have never been seen. So it is very important to have connections with family and friends so that they can be the ones to alert emergency responders where the elder is and rescue them. Connections to family and friends keeps people safe during times of dangers. When those connections are too few or too fragmented, that safety net breaks and older adults are left to fend for themselves. The impact of the disaster on elderly varies. It could be that if an elder is separated from the family member or friend, he or she might have a difficult time communicating with the responders because some adults may have a difficulty voicing their needs if they become separated from their families or caregivers during a disaster. Some of their needs are not met because there could be a shortage of their medications. So staying in a shelter could reduce their access to adequate health care, including medications. And displacement. As for displacement, in terms of living, where are they going to live now that their homes are destroyed? How long will they be in a shelter for? Will the shelter provide all their needs? It can be stressful for an elder to be moved from shelter to shelter or home to home. Also, another impact is the physical injuries that are caused by the disaster. This image shows how the elderly are vulnerable to disasters because of being separated from families, disabilities, being cut off from services, etc. Basically, it reiterates what I mentioned previously. In these two images, they are elders being assisted in disasters by first responders. So, what can be done to help the elderly be prepared for disasters? They can review, update, and rehearse disaster plans. Those who live in adult facilities or nursing homes should ask their supervisors about the evacuation plan and prepare for the disaster with 3 simple steps. Make a kit, planning ahead, and be informed. The disaster emergency kit should include the supplies to last at least 3 days. Some things to include are water, at least 1 gallon per day per person for drinking and sanitation, food and utensils, blankets and extra clothing, a first aid kit, including medical insurance and Medicaid cards, prescription medicines, medical supplies such as an extra pair of glasses, hearing aid batteries, or any other personal needed medical devices, an emergency contact list to reach family, friends, and emergency numbers, and extra cash. It is important to prepare your disaster action plan and review and practice it regularly. If you live alone, talk to your family or friends about preparing for emergencies, getting help in the event of an evacuation, and dealing with the aftermath of a disaster. Make connections with friends and neighbors who can help in emergency. Discuss needs and make sure that everyone knows how to operate the necessary medical equipment for you. Some ways to reduce the vulnerability of the elderly population is to inform older adults of important items to bring with them in the event of an evacuation, including medical records, a change of clothes, and medications. It's important to include a long-term care facility in the disaster planning process, such as a shelter for them. Shelters should meet the victim's needs, such as if they need to be in a separate room away from others, to change and bathe, and so on. And after the disaster, visits to the elderly should be done to make sure that he or she is okay and stable after the disaster. For more information, check out www.cds.gov. That's it for the presentation. Thank you so much for watching and listening.